Welcome to the Unpacking the Framework video series. This series provides valuable information about the National Best Practice Framework for Early Childhood Intervention. My name is Denise Luscombe, and this video introduction is being recorded on Whadjuk Noongar Boodja. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and the land you're listening from, and recognise their continued connection to country, waterways and community. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. This video is one of a series that describes the evidence and practice information that underpins the principles of the National Best Practice Framework for Early Childhood Intervention. You will hear from both national and international speakers throughout this video series. This video covers everyday settings, a key principle of the National Best Practice Framework for Early Childhood Intervention, and is presented by our international speaker, Dr. Sarah Sexton. Sarah is Director at the Family, Infant and Preschool Program in Morganton, North Carolina. Sarah has served in the field of early childhood education for almost 30 years as an early childhood teacher, preschool director, an early Head Start director, and an early intervention administrator. Dr. Sexton teaches child development at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina, and early childhood coaching at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. Her expertise lies in professional development coaching, personnel induction, and developing implementation and fidelity tools and measures. Dr. Sexton coordinates research and dissemination activities at FIPP and has published numerous articles on strategies and products for helping practitioners reach fidelity to evidence-based practices. She serves on the Division for Early Childhood Personnel Preparation Committee and consults with programs and states in the United States and abroad on capacity building, family support practice, and evidence-based professional development coaching.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sexton, Director of the Family, Infant and Preschool Program in Morganton, North Carolina. Breakfast to bedtime. Embracing learning in natural settings is an underutilized child development strategy I will be addressing. What do these pictures have in common? They're activities families around the world do every day, and they're also the most potent learning opportunities for young children. Natural learning is as profound as it is simple. What could be simpler than gathering the food your family eats? Or helping your parents prepare a meal? Or gathering around the meal when it's time to eat? How about the simplicity of getting dressed for the day in your favorite clothes? Or bathing at the end of a long, adventurous day? How about the simplicity of taking care of your home? The act of living life, whatever that life looks like, in the place where you live. And attending to your own basic needs. It's so simple, we almost do it without even thinking. But it's also complex. What research shows us is that those everyday activities and family routines that make up the fabric of families' lives have a profound impact on the growth and development of the child living within that family. And when the adult, that caregiver, is tuned in just right, those natural routines are the most powerful vehicle for growth, development, and human connection the child will ever know. Young children's participation in everyday activities in family life has been studied extensively in families throughout the world. Findings from a study of everyday child learning opportunities found that on average, infants, toddlers, and preschoolers participate in about 50 different family activities and 50 different community activities. But what defines these settings? Everyday settings are the places and spaces where it is usual for children and their families to spend time. Everyday settings are not just locations where children spend their time. They're also defined by the characteristics of the setting, the configuration of the characteristics of the places, spaces, people, objects, experiences, and opportunities for active participation that make up an experience determine the learning opportunities available to the child. Where children live and spend their day looks different depending on where the child lives, who's in their family and community, the resources the family has, the priorities the caregivers set for the family, and the culture, traditions, and values that guide the family. It's worth recognizing that for many around the world and in Australia, there's little or no distinction between family and community. Communities can be self-defined and are usually based on a common place, interest, purpose, and shared experiences. So as you reflect on this talk, I invite you to think about family and community in the terms that are most relevant to you. The families you support, and the places you live. Those shared spaces, places, people, and experiences are not only what defines a community, but also what makes family and community the ideal context for integrated, contextualized, and culturally relevant learning to occur. All those factors shape the setting and shape the activities and learning possibilities within the setting. Supporting participation and learning in everyday settings requires an understanding of how children learn and an appreciation for the child's culture and family traditions, and the belief that families are capable of customizing their interactions to make the most of the learning opportunities naturally embedded within their everyday settings. Let's look at a few examples of natural settings that are transformed into profound learning opportunities by a family supported by a skilled early intervention practitioner. Imagine Mia, a 2-year-old. Mia was born prematurely and had been diagnosed as failure to thrive. Although her height and weight are now plotted on the actual growth chart, she struggles with getting enough nutrition to sustain the physical growth of her same-age peers. Mealtimes in particular have been tense for her family. Mia's mother and father become frustrated, convincing her to take just one more bite of dinner. Francesca is the speech-language pathologist assigned to work with Mia and her family. On her first visit with Mia's family, Francesca observes their typical mealtime routine and witnesses firsthand the tension and the frustration. Francesca knows that Mia's learning can be supported efficiently and effectively, whether the family eats at the table in the kitchen all at the same time while they talk about their day, or on the living room floor while the children graze and play, or outside after a long hike toward a beautiful sunset. Mealtime, like most natural settings, completely integrate skills across domains when knowing caregivers capitalize on the opportunities the setting affords. Not only did using the mealtime as the context for intervention and learning create the mealtime changes the family wanted to see, but it also taught Mia important self-help skills, communication skills, and exposed her to important social-emotional learning opportunities she may not have gotten otherwise. And the family's natural mealtime setting promotes learning about the family's culture, traditions, and values. Attentive parents use everyday settings to teach children to use skills across domains and how to be a valuable and cherished part of the family. Now imagine Lucas, a 5-year-old with cerebral palsy, helping his grandmother put away the groceries from their weekly trip to the market. For Lucas, putting away the groceries is more than just a chore. It's an opportunity to bend and stoop to get the items out of the grocery bag, use the necessary grip required to hold the items while standing up, balancing while taking steps to the cabinet, finding an empty space among the array of items already on the shelf, and placing the item on the shelf in a way that it won't fall, shifting his balance to turn and ambulate back to that shopping bag for the next item. Lucas is getting exposed to labels, literacy, language. Unseen, it's also an opportunity for Lucas to feel helpful, contribute to the family, develop a sense of pride, purpose, and self-worth. For Lucas, his chore is an opportunity to connect with his grandma around something meaningful that they do frequently. Lucas's early intervention provider, Rosanna, visited the family as they were getting back from one of their trips to the local market. Rosanna helped Lucas's grandmother identify his motivation for helping and ways to capitalize on it to increase Lucas's role in putting away the groceries. With Rosanna's guidance, Lucas's grandmother slowed the process of putting away the groceries, narrated what Lucas was doing, and provided him with help getting his hands around the larger cans. After increasing her supports for several grocery trips, Lucas's grandmother noticed that Lucas was using his hands more, walking more, and his stamina for the activity had expanded from 10 minutes to almost 20 minutes. In the hands of a busy grandmother, putting away the groceries is a weekly chore. But in the hands of a knowledgeable, skilled, and deliberate grandparent who makes the time to scaffold Lucas's participation, it's a 20-minute dose of integrated learning in context. It's a lesson embedded in the child's day that has the capacity to promote learning across domains and in a context that doesn't require the skills to be generalized later. There was no need for Lucas's grandmother or parent to figure out ways to help Lucas generalize his stooping, stepping, and gripping into real-life contexts, because he was learning the skills within the real-life context. This saves time for the family, makes learning easier and more efficient for Lucas, and as in the last example, gives Lucas the opportunity to practice needed skills in the context he will be using them. Now imagine Charlie, a 7-year-old with autism. His family enjoys their outdoor time and they try to spend as much time as they can exploring nature. These outings are a challenge for Charlie. He's a creature of habit and does not enjoy the unpredictability that the outside adventures bring. Raja is Charlie's early intervention provider and works with the family to identify what Charlie enjoys and what motivates him to engage with objects and people. Raja learns about the family's priorities and understands that the family would like Charlie to be able to dress himself independently and carry his own backpack on their adventures. Raja teaches Charlie's family strategies for maximizing Charlie's control over what he wears, how to use low-tech picture schedules to help Charlie identify what he needs to do to get ready each day, and how to pack his favorite objects in his backpack to motivate him to wear it. Over the course of 3 months, Charlie's parents observed that he's dressing himself independently, wearing his backpack without complaining, and putting it on without being asked, and that they enjoy their family time more than ever. Charlie's family learned how to use the picture chart and the strategy of giving Charlie a job to do to increase his comfort with participation in those family traditions. Charlie's increased participation meant increased learning and skill development, and because it's embedded in important family traditions, Charlie was also learning how to participate in an important aspect of his and his family's identity. By now, it should seem evident that everyday settings play a profound role in child learning. Everyday settings are incredibly efficient at integrating learning domains, embedding learning in meaningful and relevant contexts that don't need to be generalized and are always culturally relevant and supportive of the family's values and priorities. In terms of integrated learning, natural settings are woven throughout the family's day and are always available, and are exceptionally efficient at integrating learning across domains. As in the examples I shared, when engaged in natural settings, children learn language, cognition, motor skills, self-help skills, and social emotional skills, and those skills are knitted together to accomplish something that matters to the child. In terms of meaningful and relevant, natural settings are functional and meaningful to the child and family and don't require additional steps of generalizing those skills from contrived activities or decontextualized learning opportunities. Children are learning the skills within the context those skills are typically used by the child. This not only makes learning more efficient, but provides the natural motivation many individuals need to activate their skills for a meaningful purpose. And it's culturally responsive. Children learn the expectations of the family, the values their family lives, and how to carry on the family's culture. As illustrated by the examples I shared, natural settings are embedded in and determined by the family's culture, values, and preferences. Using natural settings demonstrates your respect for family differences and your belief that learning can happen anywhere and with any family, and it empowers the family with the confidence to use their unique strengths and opportunities to support their child's learning. Learning occurring outside of the child and family's natural settings can never be as efficient or effective as natural settings. Learning can happen anywhere responsive adults are using children's strengths and interests to promote participation. Learning opportunities are all around. Children needn't go further than their home and community settings to be inundated with efficient and effective learning opportunities. The people, objects, and opportunities children naturally encounter as part of everyday living are the perfect context for learning. Skilled interventionists can help any family, from any culture, with any level of resources, learn to make the most of the everyday opportunities that surround us, from breakfast to bedtime, and transform the simple into the profound.
We hope you've enjoyed this video, part of the video series Unpacking the Framework for the National Best Practice Framework for Early Childhood Intervention. The review of best practice in early childhood intervention was commissioned by the Department of Social Services. Led by the University of Melbourne, the project team included PRECI, professionals and researchers in early childhood intervention, Murdoch Children's Research Institute, SNAKE, National Voice for Our Children, Children and Young People with Disability Australia, and ACD, Advocating for Children with Disability. Coordination and production of the video series was led by PRECI.